Stay tuned for the Splash Live. It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the Greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm Tyler Kieft. Thank you for joining us today all across our TV and radio network, as well as online and across social media. Facebook at Civic Center TV 15, YouTube at Civic Center TV, and as always, you can follow along on all of our programming on demand on CivicCenterTV.com. Let's get into the latest from what's happening all across our four communities. And there's a big event happening in the Greater West Bloomfield area going on right as we speak at West Bloomfield Middle School, where some of the greatest minds in the state are competing in a competition for some industrial design talent across our entire state of Michigan. All of that is happening over at West Bloomfield Middle School, and our very own Jake Schaff is on site to give us even more insight on that. Let's bring Jake in for more.
Yes, Tyler, good morning. Yes, I'm right here live at West Bloomfield Middle School right now. I had to step away from the action for a little bit, but there is so much going on right here, and I'm so excited to tell you all about it, as today is the kickoff for the 2025 M-Prize event, an event that's put on by the Michigan Design Council. What it does is it invites students from all across the state of Michigan together to put their minds together and create a fun and unique design for a very special task. What the task is for this year has yet to be revealed. It will be revealed in just a few minutes, but I'm sure it's going to be so much fun for the students. And there's going to be two assemblies going on today, because that's basically what this is. It's the kickoff event. It's basically letting everyone know, hey, it's time to get those minds moving. So the first assembly event is taking place right now for the 4th and 5th graders. And then in just a little bit, there's going to be one for the 6th graders and beyond. So many people are going to be involved with this event, and they're even bringing in some speakers who won this event before to share their expertise and their thoughts on everything that can be accomplished with M-Design, Tyler.
And it's all the youth competition happening right here in our community. Kids from across the state are competing in this. They're being judged on their talents and the projects that they put forth right here at West Bloomfield Middle School. We'll check back in with Jake later on in the program for more. Jake, thank you so much from West Bloomfield Middle School.
Absolutely.
More coming up from there in our coverage of the MI Design Prize, or the M Design Prize, will be coming up later on in the program and throughout this week. We still have competition all throughout this Monday with some of the brightest young minds across our state being recognized right in the heart of our community on Orchard Lake Road at West Bloomfield Middle School. An excellent competition. We thank Jake for his live coverage out there at West Bloomfield Middle School. We had live coverage on Friday of West Bloomfield Laker football as they once again continued their incredibly tough schedule in 2024 after a huge bounce-back game against Southfield A&T at home 2 weeks ago, where they won 44-0. They had tough competition going back out on the road against the Clarkston Wolves. Here to give us more insight on the game alongside me is Matt Gattoni, our color commentator for our live coverage of West Bloomfield Laker football. Thanks for being with us, Matt.
Yep, thank you for having me.
This was an interesting game for West Bloomfield because that Southfield A&T game was a bounce-back game. It was to see how the Lakers would respond to a little bit of adversity and correct some of those issues that they had against some of the toughest competition on their schedule in Birmingham Groves and Rochester Adams, respectively. A little bit of a different story against Clarkston. That was more of a show-me game. Show me that this is what you're made of and you can compete at the highest level with some of the best of the best. We saw some promise from the Lakers on Friday.
Yeah, there was some promise shown, but really that second half is where the concerns start to show. They couldn't really get things going on offense in the second half, and they really struggled to slow down both Bowman brothers in the second half, specifically Griffin. And it was just really unfortunate how that run game wasn't able to maintain the consistency it showed both last week against Southfield A&T and in those first few drives this week.
Yeah, the rushing game for West Bloomfield's been their highlight offensively all throughout the season. Last week, they actually tied their worst record for the season in terms of rushing yards. 93 yards, exactly the amount they had a couple of weeks back against Rochester Adams, their worst of the season, coming against Groves, where they only got 43 yards on the ground. But we also saw this be the best passing game for the Lakers because that ground game wasn't there, with over 180 yards passing for Jamal Shakespeare and Bo Jackson 5 for 9 for 64 yards. That is a promise there for West Bloomfield, seeing the passing game starting to get back into the fold.
Yeah, we saw a bit more willingness to, kind of just heave it downfield and give these receivers a bit of a chance. And I think the quarterbacks, more so Jamal Shakespeare, saw that kind of pay dividends this week, where if you kind of throw it up and give Elijah Durham a 50-50 chance, more often than not, he's going to kind of find a way to come down with it. But at the same time, we also saw the offense show a bit of frustration at the end of the game because of that passing game not necessarily being where it was at last season.
Yeah, it's definitely been sort of a slow burn for that passing game in 2024. That was the best game by far for the team overall and for their star wide receiver, Elijah Durham, who had arguably the best single season in Laker football history a year ago. He had 13 targets last game. That's the most of the season for him. 6 receptions and 143 yards, including that 65-yard touchdown reception he had in the second half against Clarkston. Now, Jamal Shakespeare on the other side got the majority of the snaps. This is something a little bit different. In the past few weeks, we've seen Shakespeare get a lot of those snaps for the rushing game, kind of that wildcat formation, and Bo Jackson really be their primary quarterback, that pocket presence, that passer. This week it was a different case, showing Jamal Shakespeare for the majority of the quarterback snaps, and brought a little bit of a different sort of game plan for him as he threw for 7 for 20 and 181 yards against Clarkston.
Yeah, you mentioned early in the broadcast last Friday that, last season we saw him, get more work at quarterback and him, throw more as opposed to being a runner. Whereas this year he's been featured more in that, Samaj Morgan, Donovan Edwards, kind of playmaker, running like direct snap wildcat type role. Now, this week we saw him, obviously throw 20 passes. So based on that, you have to assume that he's going to be the guy going forward that they're going to lean on to be the quarterback for this team. And maybe they supplement Bo Jackson in a little bit, like we saw them try to do with that trick, like jet sweep play where they had him throwing a pass after receiving it from Shakespeare.
And part of why something like that maybe didn't work was just how stout this Clarkston defense was. You talk about that rushing game, less than 100 yards given up to West Bloomfield. Only 2 other teams have been able to do that this season. They're 2 of the best in the state, in Rochester Adams and in Birmingham Groves. That definitely played a big factor. Lucas Bowman on the defensive front making big plays, as did Tyson Scott, sort of at that nickel linebacker and safety fusion of a player. And then in the secondary too, even guys getting involved later on, like Brody Rotter with that game-sealing interception. Hank Hornung had a bunch of really solid tackles up the field to prevent some big plays. That Clarkston defense really was the difference maker, especially in that second half, shutting down the Lakers' offensive progress.
Yeah, really, that was the difference. The Lakers weren't able to stop that counterpunch that Clarkston had with with Griffin Bowman once they were able to slow down Beck in the receiving game and how they were working the ball to him. But the Lakers couldn't really get anything going after their first 2 drives after Clarkston, started to get a feel for what their game plan was, and especially after halftime once they had time to game plan and account for everything.
Really was a battle of playmakers in that game. Ultimately went 35-20 in favor of Clarkston as they advanced to 3-2 overall. West Bloomfield now 2-3 overall as they come back home for a couple of games against Lake Orion and Oxford. 3 touchdowns for Lucas Bowman, 1 for Brady Beck, 1 for Griffin Bowman for the Clarkston Wolves. On the other side for West Bloomfield, Elijah Durham getting that big touchdown early in the game was probably the biggest playmaker play of the ball game, other than this long run you're seeing on your screen right now by Devin James. That makes a huge difference too, and it's going to make a difference going forward, Matt, because this schedule doesn't get any easier for the Lakers from here on out. The next couple opponents coming in as they finish up their OAA Red Division play are the Lake Orion Dragons, who are 4-1 coming into this week, and then Oxford, who's been a team that's given a lot of trouble to OAA Red Division teams so far and picked up a couple of interesting wins themselves. These next 2 weeks are really going to tell a lot about what the Lakers are going to be throughout the rest of this season.
Yeah, you got to look at it from a glass half full perspective here. It probably is their hardest 2 games remaining this season, but it's also their last 2 home games this season. Really have to take advantage of these games being at home, and the offense has been struggling, but now you can rely on that fan base to kind of intimidate the opposing defense and offenses a little bit more, and maybe allow them to get some momentum going down the line going into those last 2 weeks.
And you have to start thinking about the standings also. For Zach Hilbers, I talked to him on This Week in Laker Football before that Clarkston game, and sort of the matchups going up in the storylines from this OAA Red Division, with Lake Orion and Adams meeting last week, which went in favor of Lake Orion 28-25, with Oxford picking up a win in the red earlier on in the season, with West Bloomfield having a chance to go into Clarkston and potentially have picked up that win. That would have been a huge game changer for West Bloomfield, given that Lake Orion and Rochester Adams final score. So now you look at the OAA Red Division, which Hilbert said is that really that first benchmark is competing for and winning the OAA Red. That sets you up for a good playoff spot. West Bloomfield kind of in an interesting position now, where they really don't have a chance to win the Red, but these next couple weeks will decide how competitive they ultimately are in those final standings. Lake Orion's 1-1 in the Red, with West Bloomfield this week and Clarkston next week being their final 2 wins. So if West Bloomfield beats Lake Orion and then Clarkston were to beat Lake Orion, Clarkston would still have the advantage over West Bloomfield because of their win last week. Adams is 2-1. They got their final Red Division game coming up this week with Oxford. If they were to lose that game to Oxford, no matter how the next 2 weeks go for the Lakers, same thing. Adams has that tiebreaker. And then you get down to Oxford 1-1 with Adams this week and West Bloomfield next week. That's really the only team West Bloomfield would be able to jump if Oxford picks up a loss this week to Adams or even beats Adams, and then West Bloomfield were to beat Oxford next week. But it really comes down to playoff points at this point, Matt, and that's really what West Bloomfield's got to be fighting for, and why these next few games are so important to win.
Yeah, they're definitely on the outside looking in terms of the division. It's definitely not looking likely that they will win it, obviously. But as you mentioned, the next obvious concern is the playoffs. They could still potentially host a playoff game if they were to win out. But the biggest concern, like you mentioned, is playoff points. It's not just winning all of these games, but you have to be competitive in the losses as well. As that gets you some playoff points here and there, whereas blowouts don't really get you as many playoff points.
Right, so the benefit of the loss to Clarkston is you were able to put up 20 points on the Clarkston Wolves. You were relatively competitive in that game. Same thing goes for that Rochester Adams loss. That becomes a little bit stronger of a loss as Rochester Adams has a strong season. So them picking up a win against Oxford would be really helpful to West Bloomfield's schedule going forward, because it just increases that strength of schedule if they're able to beat Oxford down the line in a couple of weeks at West Bloomfield High School. But overall, those playoff points, as you said, that's what's really going to be the focus here in these last few weeks. If they want a chance at the state championship, if they want a chance at redemption from last season, these last 4 opponents are going to be crucial to their schedule, because Chippewa Valley, which they scheduled as a tough game early on in the season, a big test for them. That was a playoff points matchup. They're 1-4, and their remaining opponents are 13-7. So you can't really expect them to have a majority of those games going forward be wins, which would help West Bloomfield. Same goes for Southfield A&T. They're 1-4 overall. Their opponents remaining are a combined 12-8 overall. But then you look at West Bloomfield's schedule. These next 4 games, if you can pick up 2 or even 3 wins, or better yet, win out, you're taking down competition that's 15-5 overall. That's enough for you to put yourself in a really opportune position for the playoffs.
Yeah, really. 2 wins will definitely get them into the playoffs. 3 wins kind of puts them in that gray area where, depending on how points work out, they could potentially host one if they finish above 500. 4 wins will definitely get them a home playoff game. But those 2 wins are crucial. Splitting these next 4 weeks will absolutely get them into the playoffs, in my opinion. But to do that, the simplest way would be to just handle business at home, also handling business in your division, and then you go into those last 2 weeks seeing where you stand among some of the best teams in the state.
Yeah, Sammy Termina from Orion Neighborhood Television called me yesterday afternoon, and we were able to talk about this interesting matchup and the way things have shaken out in the OAA Red Division so far this season, what this means for West Bloomfield going forward. And the biggest point of that conversation was picking up playoff points. Winning these next couple of games in the Red would be enough probably for them to get into the playoffs and have a shot at the state championship game. But 3 or 4 of those being wins altogether puts you in the best position possible. So crucial time for the Lakers right now. Crunch time in their season, coming off another tough loss. I'll be interested to talk to head coach Zach Hilbers early on this week for This Week in Laker Football for even more updates. Until then, your wait's not too far away. Friday night, Lake Orion coming into West Bloomfield, 7 o'clock kickoff. Matt and I will come on with our pregame coverage just a little bit before that. Matt, your final thoughts on last week's game against Clarkston and the outlook going forward for the Lakers in this 2024 season?
Well, really just cannot allow what happened last Friday to trickle through the rest of the season. Yes, it was a tough loss, but you cannot allow what happened in that second half, the penalties, just how they allowed themselves to be pushed around in the trenches to continue going forward.
It'll be interesting to see how things shake out this week. Lake Orion coming in a very tough team with a lot of veteran talent. Tristan Hill, one of the most consistent veteran quarterbacks in the OAA Red Division. We've seen that be a problem for the Lakers against Rhino Waters of Rochester Adams. And even a guy like Alex Rozhenko last week, a young quarterback with a lot of promise, much like T.R. Hill was a couple of years ago, and plenty of experienced players on the defensive side that could give the Lakers some trouble. Big rivalry week at West Bloomfield High School with the Dragons coming in and then the Wildcats next week. All of their coverage on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Matt, thank you so much for your time.
Yep, thank you for having me.
In the meantime, you can tune into all of our Laker coverage for the football season on civiccentertv.com/LakerSports. We'll have links to all of our coverage of Laker football so you can watch those full games back. That's also a place where you'll be able to watch This Week in Laker Football. Check back on demand to see our coverage from head coach Zach Hilbers, some of the players on the team, the coaches on the team, and some analysis of both this past game against Clarkston and what's coming up with the Lake Orion Dragons coming to town on Friday night. Exciting time in West Bloomfield, as it always is during the football season. So as we take a look forward to This Week in Laker Football, we take a look back in the past as Keego Harbor gets ready to celebrate a special anniversary at the beginning of November. There was a really cool posting over the weekend by Sue Williams in the So Keego Facebook group of a newspaper clipping from November 1st, 1979. Here it is on your screen, posted on Facebook over the weekend from back when Keego Harbor officially opened Baxter Morgan Park. The park was dedicated and named after the late Calvin Baxter, who was the first chief of police in the heart of the lakes, and Red Morgan, the man who donated that land, sold that land rather to the city for $10,000 in order to make room for this park. Today, Baxter Morgan Park is thriving, hosting many of Keego Harbor Parks' events and being home to the first dedicated disc golf course in our 4 communities. An exciting place to have some fun. You can get involved in all the fun with Keego Harbor Parks and Recreation, and even get involved with some of the planning of these fun events going forward. Join them on Facebook at KH Parks or visit KeegoHarbor.org for more information on how you can get involved. Over the weekend, also an exciting time at one of our elementary schools, many of them undergoing some big changes with schools moving, being demolished and rebuilt. for the future, and currently where they reside, new playgrounds going up to enhance our learning and even that learning during playtime. Certainly was the case over at Gretschko Elementary School with a brand new playground unveiled late last week. We sent our reporter Jake Schaff out for a little bit of a recess to learn more and visit the big occasion.
Playtime over at Gretschko Elementary School just got a lot more fun, as after months of construction, their brand new playground system was finally declared open to the public this past weekend at a very special ribbon cutting ceremony, bringing together so many families from the school to check out these brand new amenities and to provide a sneak peek on how the rest of the playgrounds might be looking with the school district.
Well, it is the largest elementary school playground in the state of Michigan. So it took quite a bit of planning. I believe it started in early 2023 with the school district and the architectural firms involved. Everything was integrated very well with the existing building, the surrounding, the community, a lot of discussions with the community on, what things that they would like to see, as it was before this playground. The community as well as the students loved coming here to play, and this just means a lot to the community. They love it. We've had nothing but positive feedback.
If you had to pick a favorite part of this playground, what would you say it is?
Well, it's Apple Island, of course. We modeled it after Apple Island, so actually from the air, it's shaped exactly like Apple Island out in the middle of Orchard Lake. And we did that purposefully. We wanted to tie the Apple Island portion of the playground into the history of the community and bring that aspect to life and here in the playgrounds. So every school will have an Apple Island. But one of the big driving components of these playgrounds is we wanted it to be multifaceted. We wanted to not only engage all the motor skills, but we also wanted to make some educational components so kids could have creative play. But the big driving aspect was to make this inclusive for all of our students. So we purposefully got rid of the wood chips and brought in the poured-in-place rubber so that students with disabilities can easily access the playground. We also have a sensory playground in the courtyard over there designed for students that might be on the autism spectrum, that might have some issues. So we're trying to be inclusive and really make this playground available for every single one of our students.
This is going to set the standard for our playgrounds. Actually, at Scotch Elementary, we're almost complete. Those playgrounds that will mirror these playgrounds will be done in the next 2 weeks. As we build the new Doherty building and the new Chico building in the future, those playgrounds will be based on what you see here. So the goal is to standardize.
There's plenty more pictures from that event on the West Bloomfield School District's Facebook page, facebook.com/West Bloomfield Schools, as you're seeing some of those on your screen from a really fun day out on the playground. Looks like a great place for kids to play during recess, during the school day, and a great new place for parents and families to go on those off days to engage in some learning and some safe fun on a brand new state-of-the-art playground at Gretschko Elementary School. As Dr. Bazzi had said, that's going to be sort of the model for these playgrounds going forward at these new schools being built, including right next door to us at Chico Elementary School, with that construction project set to begin here in just the next few weeks. It was an active weekend over at Gretschko Elementary School, not only unveiling that playground on Friday, but earlier on in that day engaging in the fund run over at Gretschko Elementary School, a healthy and educational fundraiser for students, with all the funds raised going into classroom supplies, field trips, special assemblies, technology, and all those other great things that go into making that learning experience in and outside the classroom at Gretschko even more robust in our school district. All these kids having a fun time going out for a run and raising some money in the process to help each other out each and every day. Parents getting involved, teachers getting involved, and so much more. You can learn more about the fund run and other ways you can support our classrooms across the West Bloomfield School District on the Facebook page of the West Bloomfield School District. Again, that's facebook.com/West Bloomfield Schools. Fall is here, and it's time to check in, of course, on your home safety. As the seasons change, that's really that perfect time for you to check in on all those little things across your home, your smoke detectors, your carbon monoxide alarms, your escape plans, and all those things that we hear all the time from our West Bloomfield Fire Department. Now, if you're walking around your home doing those checks and you hear a chirping sound, more than likely, if you keep your doors closed and your windows shut and there's not any gaps in your roof or anything, it's probably not a bird. It's probably just your smoke detector saying, hey, I need a little bit of help. And there's a couple different scenarios there. If that smoke detector is over 10 years old, or at least 10 years or more in age, it's probably saying it's at the end of its life. But if it's below 10 years old and it's a rather new smoke detector, it probably just needs a new battery. So what you need to do is you need to check on each and every one of your smoke detectors in your home this time of the year, and it's suggested you take them off of its place on the ceiling or on the wall or wherever you have it. Take a look at the manufacturer date and see if it's at or over 10 years old. If that's the case, probably a good time to replace that smoke detector. And if it's less than 10 years old, make sure you have a replacement battery, place that battery back in, or run a quick test by clicking that button, and that chirping should be gone and you should be good to go. That's the helpful tip from the West Bloomfield Fire Department as they recognize Fire Prevention Month and help you change seasons in your home but keep safe all throughout the year. You'll have an even greater opportunity to get some more tips from the fire department and from other experts across our community. Get some of your questions answered about some of those fall safety checks at the upcoming Fire Department Open House just a couple of weeks away. Sunday, October 13th is the date. Sunday, October 13th from noon to 3 p.m. at Fire Station Number 1 on Orchard Lake Road in West Bloomfield. Yes, we know, it's a smaller parking lot over there. We're expecting a lot of people, but there's always a shuttle from West Bloomfield High School where you can park for that event right up the street to Fire Station Number 1. Hopefully it'll be a beautiful day too, as it's been over the past few years. So you get a nice brisk walk from the high school up to the fire station, where there's going to be demonstrations, some games and activities for the kids. Bill Bertakis is usually there for some photos, a great opportunity to get some pictures taken and get that little plastic firefighter helmet for the kids as well. And for parents and adults, healthcare experts will be there to answer some of your questions. There'll be some home safety experts there as well. And Alana's Foundation will be there providing some flu shots on site, and you can pre-register for that on alanasfoundation.org as we speak. Again, Fire Department Open House, Sunday, October 13th from noon to 3 p.m. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a quick look at the Lions football schedule, because in the past several years, this has always happened to be on a day where the Lions are playing football during that time period. This year, you're in luck. That big game against the Cowboys is after this event is done. So, hey, a nice way to warm up and maybe do a safer tailgate with us here at Fire Station Number 1, learn some safety tips, and then enjoy the rest of your Sunday. That's just a little bit of the big news coming out of the West Bloomfield Township Fire Department in recent weeks. They're doing a lot to help their firefighters, their EMS officials, and more across all their fire stations around our community, serving West Bloomfield and the Tri-Cities. And they're doing it through grant funding. Recently, West Bloomfield's fire department securing over $500,000 in grant funds to support new firefighter gear and some assistance for their EMS workers as well. They recently got that funding through grants approved by the West Bloomfield Township Board. In fact, even one of the board members, Jim Manna, had said he found it amusing that the government had to approve something so easy as this, bringing money in to support our firefighters. Joining us now to talk about that and more is the chief of the West Bloomfield Township Fire Department, Greg Flynn. And Greg, you secured the funds, now it's been approved, and now you get to take this into action. Really the perfect win-win scenario for our firefighters, our EMS officials, and the township at large.
Well, it's that is definitely one of the more of the easier parts as far as getting awarded a grant like that. So I just really want to take a quick moment here to thank the team here at the WBFD that really made that all possible. So, and that even extends, Tyler, as you know, there's all kinds of people that extend beyond the fire department, our finance department and budget, and all of the folks that make it happen.
Yeah, so much effort does go into securing these grant funds. It's not as simple as you have an application, somebody looks at it, and just sends you the money. There's a lot of detail that goes into this, both from your department and, as you said, those finance officials. How long was this in the process to apply for these grants, to get all that information gathered, and ultimately put our fire department's best foot forward to secure these $500,000 plus in grants?
Tyler, it starts really years out in the sense that the Township Board has always been supportive of our engagement with our groups like the Michigan Association of Fire Chiefs and being involved with the Assist a Firefighter Grant application process, where we had retired now Deputy Fire Marshal Dave DeBoer, who would go down to the National Fire Academy and read grant applications. So all of this, understanding how grants are read, how they're approved, being involved in that process, being on the front end of the legislative side of it, whether that's at the federal level or at the state level, to get the legislation through that creates the ability to fund grants like the EMS workforce support grant that is bringing us over $260,000 for tuition and part-time employment of 12 future pre-hospital care providers, or replacing, over 70 sets of bunker gear for our firefighters so that they move in and transition into a clean set of gear immediately following a fire, so they're ready to go right back to work. So it's laying the groundwork and then following through on filling out the applications correctly with our good information, and ultimately putting that football into the end zone.
And we heard last night also from someone that was among the members of your team leading the charge on this. We'll play a clip here in a moment, Calvin, at Master Control. Captain Jeff Letkowski explained a little bit about what went into getting this grant and what some of the grant funding was ultimately for.
So the Michigan Fire Chiefs Association and the Michigan Professional Firefighters Union work together at the state level, recognizing that many fire departments out there do not have a second set of gear to go into when they're laundering their primary set. So there was a lot of communication from both the fire chiefs and the Michigan Fire Union that was kind of relaying the messaging down to the department level.
And coming back to you, Chief Flynn, on that secondary gear, that bunker gear, as you mentioned, it helps our firefighters to be able to quickly change and be ready for the potential next call. And we know we don't see a lot of these sort of incidents in West Bloomfield where there's fire after fire after fire on a daily basis, but this still is really vitally important to our firefighters and our EMS officials to be able to have that gear just in case we're providing that support to other communities, as typically does happen through the Oakway Partnership.
And Tyler, I think it's important to recognize that fire gear, bunker gear, has a life cycle of its own. So while we plan through our budget cycles to replace fire gear, what this does is this creates a space for us to move forward or expand or address some issues that we have that we normally would have had to budget for those purchases of gear. And now we're leveraging those state dollars, for example, in this grant, along with the EMS workforce grant. So it's just important to understand that, being involved at local government means that there's also a responsibility to be engaged at your county, regional, and state government, and even into the federal side of things, where we moved for that training grant that we had for $45,000 for live fire training. It's being engaged, and that's a big part of what my role is, along with, like you saw with Captain Letkowski and his application process there in ultimately achieving that grant. But it's being engaged and also advocating so that those dollars are routed very appropriately for keeping the homeland secure, and homeland security starts locally.
And how do you believe that all this coming together, that focus in these areas that you identify, maybe not necessarily as a problem or even as a weak area, but an area of improvement, ultimately to identify those areas, to get the grant funding or the other funding that you need, and ultimately be able to provide that support to your employees? How do you think that makes our fire department here in West Bloomfield and the Tri-Cities that much more attractive as we go years down the road? And we know that there are fire departments and there are police departments, other first responder departments that are in some ways struggling to compete with others for the best possible candidates. And we know that's been something that's been on your minds in recent years in West Bloomfield.
Well, when you're coaching any team or you're managing a team, you want your team to go out there with the latest and greatest in equipment in order to meet the expectations of the public that we serve. And that's really what this is. All three of these grants are allowing us to do. Let's just take them one at a time. That live fire training is going to provide opportunity, because we're doing so much on the community risk reduction side and we're reducing the incidence of fire, within the Greater West Bloomfield community and to our Tri-City partners that we need to create opportunities for our firefighters to get experience in a live fire training environment so that they keep those skills sharp. And what better way to do that than be providing them with the latest and greatest in fire bunker gear, which the Bunker Gear Assistance Grant is going to be able to do. And then finally, really capturing that interest of young or newly discovered interest into public safety, specifically the EMS side of things. We're able to now hire, and I'm very excited about this, Tyler, that we're going to very soon in the next coming weeks have an application available for those currently enrolled or looking to enroll through a community college like OCC. And we're going to pay their tuition. We're going to pay them an attractive part-time wage of roughly $20 an hour to go and be successful in the classroom so that you can be successful here and we can offer you, hopefully, eventually employment here as a member of the WBFD.
And it's about creating that supportive environment from top to bottom across not only the fire department, but throughout the township. The fire department's over $500,000, $567,584.72 in funding from these grants approved by the board into their budget last night. There's just a portion of the many other grants that have also been awarded to the township and to our departments. Debbie Binder spoke about that and some of the hard work that goes into it from the township office that Chief Flynn also mentioned earlier on. Here's what she had to say.
I just want to echo the thank you. I know when we had our round table, there was a lot of discussion. We have some nice grant procurements coming up that they don't happen by accident. They happen by effort. And on all of these, and on this one, Jeff, I thank you. But there was a lot of work that went in on behalf of people to bring this money to the township, and it will be put to good use. And yes, we do need to go through the process of accepting a grant where, you always have to know where the money's coming from, what amount is coming, and how to handle it from within. So Finance Department, I know this has kept you busy, and thank you. And thank you to everyone who worked hard to bring the grant opportunities to light and then secure them for the township.
And that goes back, Chief Flynn, to just the widespread support that your department and our other public safety departments have in West Bloomfield. How does that also help to not only go after these opportunities that are available to the fire department, but knowing that when these opportunities do arise, you're going to have the full backing of our community?
Well, the elected officials, all of them, it really means a lot to the team. And I know sometimes, and you've been there, Tyler, that the audience doesn't seem very vast at some of our board meetings, but through the community outreach and playing back some of the segments so that our residents that do have the time to catch up on the news, if you will, the local news, it does mean a lot to the entire team when the township board recognizes that. And I want to assure everybody, they're recognizing that on the day-to-day ops side of things. We hear that feedback. I have the opportunity to hear that feedback. But again, I'm very grateful for all of the board members that voiced their sincere gratitude for the advocacy that all department heads and their teams are doing to procure outside dollars that can, again, continue to improve, maintain, expand how local government supports the residents served by all departments in West Bloomfield.
You can see even more about the process that went into getting these grants from the township board side and some more insight from Captain Lukowski and Chief Flynn on our replays of the West Bloomfield Township Board meetings, which are also available on demand on civiccentertv.com. Chief Flynn, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate having the Chief on to tell us about this exciting group of grant funds that are coming in from across various different outlets to help our firefighters in the front line, some of that gear that helps them get back from going out on a call and be ready to go back out again, and at the very least be comfortable after that gear gets dirty and grimy on these calls, not only in our community but in neighboring communities through the Oakway Partnership. And it's always good to have a little bit of extra help for our dedicated EMS workers who, much like our firefighters, venture across our 4 communities to help people like you each and every day. Keep up to date with the West Bloomfield Fire Department on Facebook at WB Fire Department for more information. We go back out now to one of the most exciting things happening in our community this week as technology, engineering, science, math, a little bit of everything, and even some art coming into play at West Bloomfield Middle School as Michigan Design Prize begins competition at the middle school today in our community. Joining us live from on site once again is our very own Jake Schaff. Jake.
Hey, Tyler, glad to be back. And I am joined by STEM and tech teacher with West Bloomfield Middle School, Carrie Roth. Carrie, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for being here and for having us.
Absolutely. And I was just out there in the gym. I was able to see all the kids, the energy. Everyone is so excited. What's it been like to see all of this today?
It's really amazing to get to see the students excited about this competition. It's an incredible opportunity for all of our elementary school, middle, and high school students to win some real prizes, get to work with engineers, and get their hands dirty in some projects.
That's right. And it's a very exciting project that's going to be taking place this year because it's a different topic every year. What is the topic this year?
So this year, the students are going to be designing new and improved sports equipment.
Nice. Absolutely great, especially when you got great teams like the Lions and the Tigers who are both doing fantastic right now. So very, very topical for the state of Michigan.
Yeah, we're excited. The Michigan Design Council always picks topics that are Michigan themed. So I think that means a lot to our community and to our students and allows them to get creative when thinking about their new ideas.
That's right. And from what I understand, this competition, it's experienced a bit of a growth, especially in this last year. Could you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, so the students at Roosevelt Elementary School have been participating in the Michigan Design Prize for about 10 years now. We have won over 20 awards from our students, 3 governor's awards across the district. And one year, I believe it was in 2018, the students at Roosevelt won every medal in every elementary category. So it is an incredible competition for our students, and we're excited to bring it across the entire district.
I'd imagine so, and that's great that there's so much success that's being highlighted with with an event like this, especially since you had some former winners, come by to share their expertise from winning this before. How great has that been?
It's been really cool. The ceremony that the Michigan Design Council puts on for our students is a beautiful ceremony to celebrate the students. They get these really big medals. They're honored with these giant posters, but the real prize that the students get is all of the finalists get partnered with someone in industrial design or engineering who gets to sit with them, and they take their ideas and they bring it to life. They get to spend a day living the life of an engineer or a designer, and the ceremony is at the Center for Creative Studies in Detroit, so they also get to see what college life might be like if they choose this as a career path.
Wow, lots of benefits from an event like this and so many incredible opportunities. Carrie, I don't want to take up too much of your time because I know you want to get back out there and take a look at what these kids are up to. But let me ask you this, a little bit of prediction for what's to come. What do you hope to see from the kids this year?
So from the kids this year, I expect to see some incredible creativity. Sports is a great topic for the kids. And what's amazing is just to see what these little minds think of that adults wouldn't think of either. And I really look forward to seeing every student in West Bloomfield over the course of the next couple of years take on this competition.
I hope to see that too. Carrie, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for being here.
Tyler, so many exciting things here, and all of it is kicking off today. I can't wait to see what's to come in the next few months.
Yeah, great things ahead from these kids as they put these designs forward that, hey, maybe perhaps might be revolutionizing sports in our local area and beyond going forward. Jake, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tyler.
Jake Schaff alongside Carrie Roth live out at West Bloomfield Middle School where the Michigan Design Prize contest begins today for 2024 right here in our community. Some exciting stuff happening in the West Bloomfield School District at the middle school today and some exciting changes already in progress across the school district as well that are going to be closing the door on some eras in our community, and we'll have a chance to learn more about how you can say goodbye to a beloved location before it is ultimately demolished here right next door to us at Chico Elementary School, and share some memories of the past and some hope for the future coming up. Stay with us live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live. Missed one of our live broadcasts or one of your local municipal meetings? Check it out online at civiccentertv.com. Every meeting, show, and interview on demand. Thank you for watching and listening to Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Watch West Bloomfield Lakers football all season long on 89.3 Lakes FM and Civic Center TV. Join Tyler Kieft and Matt Catoni each week for live, in-depth, and exclusive coverage before, during, and after the big game. It's your local high school football team on the road and in your backyard on your home for West Bloomfield Laker football, Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Hi, my name's Megan Tahako. I'm the Marketing and Communications Manager for West Bloomfield Parks. Congratulations to Civic Center TV for reaching 1 million views on YouTube. We appreciate all you do in this community to help share our stories. Megan Tahako, proud to be 1 in a million.
And now, back to The Splash, live.
Live, local, social, it's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm Tyler Kieft. Thanks for tuning in to our program today. If you've missed any of this, you're just tuning in. Fear not, it's always on demand on civiccentertv.com, and you can find us all across social media. A great way to do that. Civic Center TV 15 on Facebook, and then on YouTube, X, and on Instagram. You can find us at Civic Center TV for all the updates and to find all these segments on demand and posted all throughout the week to keep up to date during your busy schedule and what's going on right here in your very busy community as well. Right next door to us is Chico Elementary School. At least that has been the case for many years on this campus, but a change is underway in West Bloomfield's school district as they consolidated from 5 to 4 elementary schools and get ready to rebuild a couple of these schools to make them state-of-the-art and modernize our elementary education in our 4 communities. That includes right next door where that building at Chico is set to be demolished in the coming weeks, and then a rebuild of that school to come after that. But before all of that happens, the community has one final chance to take a walk down memory lane, whether you were a Chico student or a student way back in the day at Green Elementary School, and share some memories with friends, family, the community, and the younger students, and give them some hope going forward for their new adventures that will happen right next door to us on that campus going forward. Joining us to tell us more about this upcoming farewell event at Chico Elementary School is their current principal, Blaine McDowell. And Blaine, I want to start off by talking about the transition from the old Chico building next door to where you're currently at in the former Abbott Middle School building. In these first few weeks, how has that transition been for your staff, for the returning students, and especially also for those students that have now joined your community?
You know, I could not be more proud of our students and our staff and our families. It was a big move. Our teachers have made the building look absolutely gorgeous with all of their finishing touches. We have had huge support from our custodial staff and Ted Stinson and Jamie Stadelmeyer and all of central office to make sure everything was up and running to just help the transition be as smooth as possible. So we couldn't be more grateful. Families have been beyond amazing with their support and just coming in for tours and meetings so that everyone feels as comfortable as possible. All of the transition activities that we've done in really over a year leading up to this move, I do feel like have really helped, and parents have really been really have shown their gratefulness and have sent emails and called and just in person. Could not be any more warm and loving. So as a staff, we are just really thankful.
And what's great about this particular class of K-5 students at Chico that are in this new building right now is for the kids on the older side, I would presume it's a nice little transition from a smaller building, an elementary school building, into what used to be a middle school facility as they approach their middle school years coming up either next year or in the years ahead. And for the younger students, it's going to bring them in right away, and then by the time you're transitioning out, you'll have that new building there. So it kind of helps, I would think, set the tone at this new school and get ready for that next transition. Is that the case?
Absolutely. I never really thought about it like that, but it's very true. I'm very fortunate that I was the STEAM teacher and dean of students right here at Abbott and Orchard Lake when we combined. So it has been great to already be familiar with the building. And yes, we are really loving the space. That has really been as far as being a temporary location, you couldn't ask for better. So that part has been super good. The little ones are finding their way around. I do feel like it will really help the 4th and 5th graders transition to the middle school when they get to that point. Like you said, just because it is a bigger space, and our little ones will get to be in that beautiful brand new building. So lots of excitement all around.
And the Chico Farewell Tour, that's going to be coming up here in just a little while. Monday, October 7th at 5 p.m. You'll be able to take a walk through the building one more time and celebrate that former building that for a long time was Chico Elementary School, and before that was Green Elementary School. What can we expect from this tour? What's going to be going on that evening as we commemorate this building that's built so many memories for so many generations in our community?
Definitely, and including myself. I was a teacher at Green under Kathy Chico, who's in that picture with me, for 21 years before I went to the middle school and then became principal at Chico. So for the community, if you are wanting to see some of your favorite teachers, I know that a lot of the teachers will be there, including some of the retired teachers. We will have lots of, pictures and some treats, and just really a time of being together, so that you really can take some pictures if you want. It's not all decorated beautiful like when teachers are there, because it's just like when you move out of a home, it's an empty building, but it is really special to be able to just walk the halls of where you've been. And like for the neighbors that are nearby, like that school has been in their backyard for some of them for as long as they've lived there. So it's really nice to be able to just have that chance to have closure on that building. And really, there will be pictures of what the new building will look like. So if people want to sneak peek, they'll be able to see those pictures as well.
As you mentioned, you taught under Kathy Chico when she was the principal at Green Elementary School. After her retirement, after many years as the principal there, the school was renamed in her honor. What's her thoughts on this brand new school that's going to be going up there, state of the art, have her name on it, and this interesting time that you all have to make this change in our community?
Definitely. I mean, she couldn't be more supportive. If you know Kathy Chico, she is a boots on the ground, does a million things for our community. Still, she runs Fueling Kids Futures and helps to provide food for families in the community. She is a cheerleader for all things West Bloomfield. For me personally, she is my West Bloomfield mom. She, I student taught in her building and was so excited to get a job under her, so that it makes me super emotional, because I just adore her, love her, respect her, and that I am the principal at the building named after someone I love and respect, as much. And, like my parents, it's a very humbling experience, and I am completely just so blessed to be a part of it. So Kathy is, she's a cheerleader for all, and she is super excited. She also is a very humble person. She still calls the school green. So, I'm so glad that she'll be able to be there with us.
And Blaine McDowell is with us, the principal of Chico Elementary School. Their farewell tour will be Monday, October 7th at 5 p.m. And Blaine, as you have gone through this first part of this transition, the second one coming in a couple of years, expected fall of 2026, the new Chico building will be open. How does that help you and your team inform how you hope to build those memories with these current students as their Chico Elementary students now having more of that context from the community about what this building, what those experiences in their past have meant to them?
Yeah, for sure. The neat thing about our school in particular, but I would really say West Bloomfield as a whole, that a building is a building, and we're super excited to have all of these great opportunities, all of the design. Everything that's in the building is very intentionally designed with learning everywhere. The theme of the building is going to be Michigan, and it's like if we could dream it, it's going to happen at this new building. So that is so exciting. So yeah, I think we're just so on the right track. And like I said, a building is a building, but it's the people in it that make the building. So no matter if we're here or we were at the old Chico or the new Chico, the traditions of fifth grade camp and being a safety and kindergarten showcase. And when they come for the first time, all of those things are the traditions and the story that really makes the memory. So hopefully that kind of sheds some light that it truly is about the amazing staff and families in the building. But we are very excited to show you everything that's in store.
You'll be able to share a lot more of those memories with Blaine, with her current team from Chico, and some of the kids past and present from Chico and Green Elementary Schools. Monday, October 7th at 5 p.m. Blaine, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too, Blaine, and the whole team over at Chico Elementary School. A busy start to their year that really began in the weeks leading up to the school year, finishing that transition out of their old building next door to us on campus here at Green Media Center and into their new building, or temporary building, at the former Abbott Middle School location on Orchard Lake and Commerce. Where they'll be for the next couple of years until that building next door is rebuilt. But in the meantime, one last chance to take a walk down memory lane, go through that elementary school, take a look at some of the sights and the sounds of years past, and share some memories with your former classmates and others who called that school home, both as Chico and as Green Elementary School. Again, that's coming up just a week from today, Monday, October 7th. More information on that can be found on wbsd.org or on the Facebook page of the West Bloomfield School District at West Bloomfield Schools. Meanwhile, talking about education across our 4 communities and beyond, Oakland County launching a new program beginning today to help relieve student debt for people all across our community. Oakland County's Student Debt Relief Initiative, in collaboration with Civic, launches today and will offer free tools to see if you can lower your payments month to month. And they're estimating that the average projected lifetime savings through this program, as you see on your screen on civiccentertv.com, could be upwards of $38,000, or at the very least month to month, potentially save those owing student loan debt in our community is upwards of $187 per month, which can go a long way, especially these days in our community. It's launching today. There's plenty of more information on this in a couple of places. oakgov.com/savvy, as you see on your screen. It's exactly as it's spelled in that graphic. oakgov.com/SAVI. Again, oakgov.com/SAVI. Or another place you can go is to the Oakland County government's Facebook page, facebook.com/oakgov, where they have even more information on this program, information on applying for this student loan debt relief and more. And you can follow along with it right there. Something that's going to be really helpful to people across our community, and I would encourage you to take a look into this and see what sort of relief you may be able to get. Hey, look, even if you get $10, $20 a month of savings out of this program, why not take advantage of that, save yourself some money, and maybe you'll be able to put that right back into our local economy here in the 4 communities. That coming from Oakland County down to all of our communities across the county, including here in the Greater West Bloomfield area. If you've been outside the last few days, the gloomy weather outside, a little bit cooler, a little bit of a light breeze, certainly feels like fall outside, and, well, plenty of opportunity for you to get involved in some of the fall festivities in Greater West Bloomfield, including with West Bloomfield Parks, where their community hay rides are coming up just next week. The changing seasons will be a full immersive experience, as you'll get a 20-minute tractor-drawn hayride during this program, encounter a few nature stops along the way for some knowledge with some of the West Bloomfield Park's naturalists, and even have a chance to take out a blanket and find a cozy spot to enjoy some cider and some other seasonal treats. This is a hayride for individuals, so you can join in on a one-time slot, or you can even get a private hayride for your group as long as you have up to 30 people maximum, with cider, donuts, and 4 roll-up picnic blankets. These are happening on a couple different days, and again, they're happening in time slots. October 10th, next week, Thursday, 7:30 to 8 p.m. and then October 17th, the next week over, 5 p.m. until 5:30 p.m. All are going to be happening at Marshbank Park. More information on this, and you can start registering. I'd encourage you to do that today if you haven't already registered for these community hay rides. They fill up fast. wbparks.org. Navigate to the top of their screen under their registration link and learn more about everything happening with West Bloomfield Parks this fall. Facebook.com/WBParks. It's also, it's fall, it's also flu season coming up, and a local organization that was begun right here in West Bloomfield is going to be all throughout our community in the coming weeks, helping you get your annual flu shot at cost reduction or even for free in West Bloomfield Township. It's called Alana's Foundation, founded by the Oxich family out of West Bloomfield years ago after the tragic death of their young daughter, Alana, from complications from influenza. They're going to be at a couple of different stops, including at the West Bloomfield Township Clerk's office. That'll be happening on Thursday, October 10th from 3:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. You can register as we speak. On your screen, there's a QR code from their flyer for this event. You scan that QR code, fill out your information, including if you have insurance, you can put your insurance card information in there as well, and get your flu shot right at West Bloomfield Town Hall. Maybe you got to go over there and pull some permits or pay some tax bills, or maybe get some questions asked about this upcoming election you may have heard of from the clerk's office. Perfect opportunity to do that and get your annual flu shot from Alana's Foundation during this event as well. All flu vaccines are trivalent for the 2024-25 season, so 3 different strains you'll be vaccinated from within this flu vaccine from Alana's Foundation. In the meantime, you can also find more information on them at alanasfoundation.org. And as I said earlier on in the program, they will also be at the Fire Department Open House. So if you miss next week Thursday's flu shot clinic, you'll be able to have another chance at the Fire Department Open House on Sunday, October 13th from noon to 3 p.m. Just like that, we're out of time on today's edition of the Splash Live. If you're just tuning in, you can find us on demand and watch us all back right as we speak on CivicCenterTV.com, on YouTube at Civic Center TV, and of course, we encourage you to follow us on Facebook at Civic Center TV 15 as well. Big thank you to our entire crew out in the field, Jake Schaff, and in the studio at Master Control, Kevin McIntosh and Calvin Brown. For our entire team and our entire community, I'm Tyler Kieft. Thanks for tuning in to the Splash Live.